This is the I Love Success podcast. I'm Peter Jurukowski, and I have made a vow to myself to help as many people as possible to achieve their dreams. Let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to the I Love Success podcast. I'm really grateful that you're here with me. We are approaching 300 episodes. When I started about, I would say, a little bit more than 300 weeks ago with this, I didn't know I would do this many episodes. I just knew I am a martial artist, and when I start something, I keep going with it. So whoever you are in life, there's a reason why you're here. And today's episode, just like every others, is to share a unique human being story and give you the ideas, the tools to do better in your life. This is all for free. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have any value. I wish you should pay me a lot to this, honestly, because it's going to be so much value here today. So please take it serious. Enjoy the show. If you're at the gym, if you're driving, if you're in your office, just enjoy this show. And today's guest is a great human being. He's a friend of mine. He even took me into his home when I was visiting my motherland, Macedonia, training, and was preparing for the World Championship in 2008. This is a national team fighter for the Macedonian Karate Team for more than 15 years. He's won numerous titles, such as becoming a Macedonian champion several times, Balkan champion. He's been a European university champion. But not only that, this is a guy with energy. He can sing, he can dance, he can drink, and he can do a lot of things. So without further ado, I want to invite Bogdan Micov to the I Love Success podcast.
Thank you for the invitation, my friend. It has been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, before we get started, I just want to share with the audience, I'm reading a book called Unexpected Kindness. Right now, I just finished it. It's a great book with Dr. Joe Vitale. He was on The Secret. I've had him on the show several times, and he's writing about these stories of unexpected kindness. And I just want to share that to the audience. You were unexpectedly kind to me. You know, as people who listen to this show, they know I am originally from Macedonia. I grew up in Sweden. My father is my sensei. I wanted to become a better fighter and prepared for this was the World Championship in 2008. And we actually met at a couple of, national team, I think it was European Championships or something when we were juniors. And you and the team were so kind and took me in. I went to Macedonia for a month to prepare, and we went to your hometown, Štip, and you took me into your home. You took me to Pastermalia. We had fun. We trained hard. So you didn't have to do that. So thank you for being so unexpectedly kind to, a stranger.
Well, I wouldn't say a stranger. I would say, you know how they say karate is connecting people.
Yeah.
And a lot. And whoever have been in that game, if you say it, I would say it a game, not only a sport, because for me it's like a life game, learning how to play with life in general. So whoever is in that sport, it's not a stranger anymore. Doesn't really matter if we just met on the tatami or to fight, or we have met on trainings. It's not really a stranger thing, right? And kind of, I don't know, that sharing the same passion towards something, sharing the same love towards something, it makes you more closer than your closest people, right? It doesn't really matter that we grew up in a completely different countries, in different environments and everything. The moment when we meet there, it just becomes a brotherhood. Yeah. So thank you for the kind words from your side as well, my man. But yeah, it was pleasure for me to be your host in that moment as well.
Thank you. And I think that's what the beauty is of martial arts. And I think what we what we learn in the world of martial arts is something that we can take with our whole life, and we're going to talk more about that in today's show. But let's just start with, Bogdan, like tell me, like, you were born were you born in Stip, or?
Yeah, I'm born in Stip. Yeah.
So people who don't know, where is Stip? Like, how big is that town? How did you get into karate in the first place? And like, just give us a little bit of background.
So if first, how big is Macedonia? Macedonia is like only like 2 million people, right? And Stip is like uh 55,000 people, citizens right now at the moment. Very small city, but with a lot of culture and with a lot of political background, with a lot of sport background, with a lot of educational, intellectual background. Stip is the country that Stip is how can I say it country, because for me it's a country. Stip is the city where, let's say, the first president of Macedonia have came in, the first vice president of Macedonia. A lot of revolutionaries back in the past 500 years ago have been coming from there. The first theater was organized in Stip. The first basketball game in Macedonia was organized in Stip. So it's a small city with a very, very big culture and very big art. How did I get into karate? In Stipe, the most successful sports are karate, boxing, and wrestling. That's where it's more martial art oriented type of city. Yeah, we have different sports, but this is the sports that are dominating. I started just because my neighbor was a coach and his son was my age and they were training karate. So me, it was like, okay, what other kids were going to do, I'm going to do the same. So it was like just like a joke at the beginning that became a very big passion uh, just shortly within,
And how old were you when you started?
like around 7 years old, so 7, 8 years old, something like that. I think I started when I was 7, and then I made a small break, like for 6 months, and then I restarted again because they were changing about the gyms and something like that. I got sick. It was a cold winter time, and my father was like, "Oh, well, you will not gonna go and train. You're getting sick there." So the next time when I actually started again, I was hiding from my parents that I'm going and training karate. So I would say, hey, I'm going to play with my friends, but I was actually going to train.
Thanks.
So that's how much the love toward the sport was big inside of me, where I needed to lie to my parents. Usually people, kids are lying if they run away from school. For
Yeah.
me, I'm going to train to develop myself on athletic level, but I need to say, oh, I'm playing with my friend somewhere in the neighborhood, like like doing nothing. So yeah, that was a fun story.
I love
And
that.
after a few months, it came the time for the first competition that I needed to attend to. And the coach came into my house. He was our neighbor, to ask my father for a permission because I was so young. And when he told him that I'm training, my father was like shocked. Uh, so yeah, that's a funny story actually.
That's interesting. And how, like, when did you realize, you started very early, when did you realize that this is something that I can become, very good at? Was that what a specific moment where you felt like this is something that I want to do?
Uh, I don't I don't know exactly when I realized that I can be good at, but I wanted to become good at.
Yeah.
Uh, is from a very young age, I'm a very competitive person, and at the same time, very curious person. Right? I want to learn many other things. So, like you said, yeah, music, playing guitar, dancing, drinking, having a lot of. I have been having a lot of facultative uh, things on the side besides the karate. So I always wanted to be good into. So I had the will, and because I'm by nature very competitive, I didn't want it. I didn't want anyone to be better than me. So that's how it started. My first goal, it was to become better than the friends in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know? Then what that happened? Then it was to become better for everyone in the city, then to become better for everyone in the country. And that's how the goal was growing little by little by little, little by little. Then it was not the destination, it was the journey that I was enjoying the most.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And how, just for people who don't understand, that being in a competitive environment in karate, it's very difficult. There's many fighters that are very good, especially like where you grew up, Macedonia, and you're surrounded by the Balkans, which have so many good fighters. So can you just talk about that, mindset, being in an environment, where you're kind of a small fish in a big pond, and how do you deal with that and growing? Because I think what I have seen the martial arts environment, and not only the martial arts environment, every environment, there's two types of people. Either they stay in the hard and become better, or they don't want to be there because it gives you the opportunity to look bad in front of others.
Yeah. Well, very interesting question. When I was still young, I will stay additional training with the older people than me, right? So I was being beaten up every single day. They're older, they're stronger, they're taller, they're more experienced than me, but I just wanted to become better, right? So I would say it comes to the point of first willpower, that you want to do something. Second, discipline, that you know that you need to finish that training. You need to go to sleep early. You need to go there. And third, do not do not make idols out from anyone, right? What my secret is, do not compare yourself with other people outside of yourself. Compare yourself with you and your progress every single day. Now, I would say Balkans, for example, well, so many good, as you mentioned, you have Serbia, so many world champions, Turkey, Greece, Croatia, you have Romania, Bulgaria, Bosnia. You have so many talents and such a hardworking athletes in that place that kind of motivates you to do even more. And the progress comes when you learn how to face your fears, right? To face the fear instead of running away from the fear, but to put yourself in the most uncomfortable position possible that will going to allow you to blossom like a butterfly when it gets out from the cocoon, right? Needs to go through that fear, hard moments, so it can become a butterfly. That's how it is. Small country like Macedonia has so many results just because you're surrounded with so many good athletes from around that doesn't give you a choice but to be better.
Yeah.
Or you're going to give up or you're going to beat up everyone else. So that's how it is.
Environment matters, right? Environment is so
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, Bogdan, how you talk about competing against yourself, and that's something that I always try to do. And in the mind, it's a good idea, but when you're a competitor, I got to be honest, I look at people that are better than me. I try to always compete against myself, but in a way I also want to become better than them. How do you handle and deal with that so it doesn't eat you up? Because I know I've seen a lot of athletes, it eats them up and it's never enough. It's never enough. Like, how did you deal with that? And how can we help the audience that are in the same, comparison? Because I think we all compare. We got to be honest. Like sometimes we all compare. If it's good or bad, I don't know, but
look, it's it's a difficult to answer. Obviously, when someone is better than you want to be better than them. But at the same time, you cannot be caught up in how good they are, because then you're neglecting yourself, which means you're prioritizing or you're putting someone else on a pedestal that you miss to tap yourself on the back, which means you see idol in someone else, but you underestimate yourself, which is not going to serve you any type of a purpose. You can actually learn from them, but you don't want to get caught up in just looking at other people without looking at yourself.
Yeah.
So I realized that pretty late, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a learning journey. But when I realized that, there was only one way how to actually implement it for myself.
Yeah.
And that's appreciating small thing about yourself, but on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we set up a goals. Oh, I want to be like that person. But that actually were their goals. Maybe was not ours at that type of moment. So we are setting other people's goals. And when we are setting other people's goals, we don't know what they are actually doing on a daily basis. So maybe it's not achievable for us at this particular moment. So we are setting unrealistic goals. Instead of putting our mind, okay, I want to be like them. When I wake up in the morning, I see myself in the mirror, and it's one simple question: what can I do today to be better than yesterday? So then you're having one small step forward, but it's still a progress. And when you celebrate that small win, it becomes increasing the confidence. Then you are actually seeing your own progress. And then in a year, you can see you have been from here up to here, and you don't even need to look at anyone else anymore. You see that you can progress. You don't put an external pressure on yourself to compare yourself with someone else, and you just keep on driving. You start enjoying the journey. You start enjoying the pain. You start enjoying the uncomfortable things, just because the moment when you overcome one small uncomfortable task, the pleasure is increasing, and it's increasing. Like Tony Robbins says many times, do 0.1% that will going to push you a little bit more, and celebrate that progress that will going to put you in a way better position, rather than just look at the goals. Oh, why I'm not a millionaire right now in the moment? You are not, because it's not right now in the moment, but you may be. So don't put yourself the pressure there. One push up more on training, that you could do yesterday, it's a progress, gives you that feeling of happiness, right? So that's how I understood the thing, and that's how until today I'm doing it every single day.
I love that. And if you don't mind me asking, because I think people watching this, some of them might not understand what an undertaking it is to be a high level competitor and martial artist for 10, 15, 20 years, because you train every day. You travel probably at least 10 to 15 times a year to competitions out of country. You're away from family. There's injuries. Sometimes you give everything and you still lose in the first round, and you have to come back home and keep going with your life. And it's not like being playing tennis that you're getting big prize money. It's very minimal. Sometimes a lot of people even have to spend money to be an athlete. So how many years did it take for you to get that understanding that it's you versus you?
I, I don't know, probably when I started high school.
Yeah.
When I started high school, because then I was already in the stage of already, let's say, I don't know, junior stage of competitors, where it becomes more serious,
Yeah.
where it becomes more serious. And then you need to make a decision.
Yeah.
And that decision it is, you want to be a good athlete, or you want to go hang out and drink with your buddies.
Yeah.
Like that was a decision. For me, I wanted to have a progress in that. So I give absolutely everything. And like you mentioned, at the beginning, my parents were paying for my competitions.
Yeah.
Federation was not supporting absolutely anything. There was nothing. We have been traveling 60, 65, 70 hours in a mini bus to reach from Macedonia to Finland, sleeping in the corridor on the bus down, sacrificing every single second from your life, every single pleasure. I don't want to talk about when it was dieting and you need to keep weight and you need to make weight. There is no weekends with friends. There is no there is no nights out. There is no normal high school kids gatherings and everything. You're sacrificing absolutely everything. When I grew up and I needed to work at the same time and to train and to compete, my annual vacation that was for work for 2 weeks, I was not using it for vacation. I was using it for trainings, because then it's going to be a training camp. So it's a lot of sacrifice that you need to go through and to pass if you want to be in that level.
Yeah, I love that. And for me, one thing that I realized, Boko, when I started letting go of, beating everybody else and instead working on becoming better, I actually performed much better and I had more fun. Do you have the same experience?
Yeah. So when you release the pressure, then when miracle happens, your hands, your arms, your legs are simply flying. You don't even get tired. I remember, I think I was just recovering from an injury. So I had a broken knee, and I was out of the field for probably 6 months or so, and I just started coming back in shape. I started coming back, and that was one very, very, very strong tournament in Serbia. It was like Golden Belt. It was called Golden Belt, and you have competitors from all around the world. Maybe like around 60 countries were attending there. And it was just before European Championship, which means everyone was building the form there. And it was, you're attending a world championship, right? So I was just recovering. And then I needed to make a few fights to get into that competitive shape. And I went with the mindset, I'm not going to do anything, right? Not to be like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
Peter, I had 18 fights that day, in one day. 18.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Combining individual and team fights. 18 fights. I didn't lose even 1 point. I won absolutely everything. And I was out of shape like never. But just because I was not putting a pressure on myself, and I was like, I'm going to do my best. Like God gave me wings. And I was flying. It was incredible experience. I tell this to absolutely everyone. So the moment when you release that pressure that you need to succeed, because you don't need anything, you don't need to, you need, then you put a walls in front of yourself. When you release that pressure and let go of that type of pressure and expectations, then when you start moving forward.
Yeah, I love that story. And for me, sometimes it's been the same for me. I remember one summer I went drinking, have fun the whole summer. Then I trained for 3 or 4 weeks. I was so relaxed and I performed better. There's many I performed at the best of my ability, but there's so many other stories about athletes. There's one, I don't remember her name now, in Sweden. She's an Olympic skier. And every time after an injury, she came back much better. And here's my theory on that. This doesn't work for everybody. It works for people like yourself and me that always do the hard work. And then there's a release. And then it's the buildup, I think. But if you never do the work in the beginning, it's not going to happen. But it's just incredible. And thank you for sharing that. And before we move past, you moving to Dubai, what you're doing now, can you just share what's been the best experience and the biggest, moment for you as, a martial artist and an athlete? What are the moments that, you make you happy and proud of yourself?
Well, first, if karate was not part of my life, I wouldn't be where am I right now in the moment. So that's the best decision that I have made in my life, to run away from home, lie to my parents, and start training karate. So that was a best decision that I have done. And second, there are so many good moments But moments like this, me and you catching up after 15 years and having conversation like we have been living in the same house till yesterday, is something that is priceless. Having that friendship, understanding people, having so many friends around the world is something that is completely priceless, right? So people that I haven't seen for 10 years will still respect each other. For example, do you remember Slobodan Bitevic?
Yes.
Several times world champion in karate and everything. I saw him like 3 days ago in Dubai.
Yeah.
And the last time when I saw him, it was 2011.
Yeah.
So it was 2011 and it was on competition. And we sit down, we had fun, we talk a lot about it. It's like friendship never vanished. So that's something that I'm the most proud of why I have been doing this.
Yeah. I love that. And I get goosebumps again because it's a family that you build. And I think everybody has a mutual respect for each other because we know what it takes to, even there's so many fighters, and people who don't understand, I just want to share this again so you understand. When we talk about a world championship, if you compete in your weight division, there's probably about 70 to 80 people there. All of them are the best in their country. And there's probably 5, depending on the country, they're probably between 1 to 10 that are close to that level. And then when you go and compete on that day, after one match, half of them is gone. After 2 matches, there's only 25% left. And most likely in between 1 and the 3rd fight, you're gonna face somebody that has won a championship or medal at the European Championship, at the Asian Championship, at the Pan American Championship. So it's an incredible. I say this, and I think everybody who just be in that environment, it's an incredible environment. And there's so many people that never win the world championship that are still incredible martial artists, and we forget that. It blows my mind every time I went to these competitions. Like, wow, all of these people are incredible. And so yeah, I'm with you. And I think that's the respect that people have for each other, because if you're in that environment, you understand. And I think if you're listening to this, you don't have to be a karate fighter or a martial artist, but something in your life, please go all in on something, no matter what the result is, because there's a beauty that comes when you go all in. You get to have these conversations now. I feel like you're my brother and we can talk about these things, and we haven't talked in probably 10 years. So it's just incredible. But let's go past. So when did you decide to stop competing, and when did you decide that you wanted to move your whole life to Dubai?
I think it was like around 2012, something like that. Life happened, right? So as you mentioned previously, we couldn't earn much from the sport. Everything that we were doing was mainly from love, right? But I was already in a situation that I needed to think about the next step. What's going to be the next step, right? And I was at that moment working as a journalist in Macedonia, so I was having a job. I was okay, but for me, in my mind, this was like, I have so much potential than just staying here. Why not exploring the world, right? What can I lose? There is nothing that I could lose. I have been through all this hardship. Why not try something new? At least try, right? And I was having a cousin of mine, and he was already here in Dubai, and he was in a moment like working in a nightclub or something, and I just called him over. I was like, mate, is there any job for me there? I was not even speaking English in that moment properly, right? It was like is there a job for me there? And he was like, yeah, man, there is some job there, like assistant waiter or something like that. And I was like, can I send my CV over there? No problem. Send over my CV. I got accepted. I came in Dubai, and then the life changed completely, right? Completely new environment, completely different country, completely different culture, completely different challenges that I needed to go through. Was it easy at the beginning? No. Was it worthy? Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. How was it in the beginning? Because I think uh, you're a very respected athlete, and then you come and you start all new, and people don't know you in Dubai as they know you in Stip and Macedonia.
Yeah.
So now you're just a regular guy. Like how did you deal with that, and how was that experience?
Well, that was a motivation that I need for me to get and to burn that competitive spirit inside of me as well. So I remember my second day working in the nightclub, and we are preparing the setup before we open, and me sitting there and polishing glasses. Like polishing the glasses before starting. There were like two security guys there. I don't know, I don't even remember their names anymore. It was a long time ago. They were sitting there, and they start asking where you from, what you have been doing, blah blah blah. In one moment I was like, what? You finished university and you're here polishing glasses? Start laughing at me. And it was like a hot knife going through my chest
Yeah.
in that moment, because I came from a very well known in my country, very well known in my city. I had a journalist job, so I have been talking with politicians. I have been sitting with the presidents of countries. I have been conducting meetings. Now I'm here polishing glasses like no one, and two security guys that probably haven't finished even fourth grade elementary school. They are laughing at me, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like that, I still feel that knife, and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you." I just shut my mouth, and I was like, I'm going to show you. What I did in that moment, it was like all in self-development. I went all in self-development. First thing that I bought a course for English. I was like, I need to improve my communication. Second thing, I was going in every other nightclub in Dubai, not to party, but to learn,
Yeah.
to see what they were doing good, what they were doing bad. And I was observing absolutely everything, taking notes of everything. Every weekend, when my friends would go out and want to have fun and drink some alcohol, I will stay at home and I will study. You know what happens? After 4 months, I already got my first promotion and I jumped 4 positions. And I become the first employee in the company that will be promoted within probation period, the first in the history of the whole company. But I was not promoted in the next position. I was promoted already on a management position, just because I was doing absolutely everything to show. And the guys that were laughing at me 4 months ago,
Yeah.
now I was their boss.
Yeah.
You get my point. And
Yeah.
then
I love it.
that gave me the right, because I understood the pain that lower position people are going through. For me, it opened a gate. I was like, I'm not gonna let anyone to tolerate anyone just because of a position or something else. So I started implementing different type of things, and it was a constant progress. It was constant progress until I became like a managing director of one of the biggest hospitality companies in Dubai, managing like 8 nightclubs, two fine dining restaurants, some Irish pubs around, everything that was going on there. Super successful. Many award-winning nights, nightclubs, and everything that I have been doing. And yeah, it was a growth period, but it was just because I approached with the same attitude like in the sport.
That's smart.
And it was like, I need to become better every day if I want to make something from it.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that it's all about adding value, right? And have the confidence to go after it. Can we just talk about confidence? Because we see this all the time. Like there's many people that were in your position, but they, instead of being like excited about that, they shy away and put themselves down even more. Like
Yeah.
how do you pump yourself up, and like what advice can you give to people who don't have that, confidence? I meet this all the time. People say it's easy for you because you were an athlete, you were that. And I agree, it's much easier for me because I have the knowledge that my father taught me through karate, and I was able to, pass through so many failures to become stronger. So I agree it's easier, but what can we tell to the people that like are in that position? They haven't put themselves out there that much.
It's taking responsibility
Yeah.
over your own results. Now, if most 99% of the people, if they do like their results and their outcomes in their life, they put themselves in the cause side of the world, right? You ask them like, how did you achieve this? Oh, I worked so hard for it. I was investing so much. I was blah 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 blah, right? But if they do not like their results, what they do, they externalize the problems. Oh, the economy did this to me. Oh, the government is doing this to me. Oh, my girlfriend was very bad to me. The boss is very bad towards myself. We externalize the problems and we do not take responsibility, which means we are in the effect side of the world. So everyone who wants to progress and they do not have that background, first thing that they need to do is to learn how to take responsibility about their own situation and their own results. Now, I'm still talking with some people, let's say back in Macedonia, and they will say, oh, you were lucky, you left the country a long time ago. Yeah. And I was like, what can you change? He was like, we cannot change anything in this country. The government is this, the government is this. And I was like, can you change the country? And then there's pictures. You can. Yeah. Yes, maybe it's not your fault because something happened, but it's definitely your problem and your responsibility to solve it. And who else, if not you? It's the same like an obese guy. They want to get fit, and they're blaming why their wife is cooking so much at home. Why do you eat it? Yeah. Why don't you work out? Yeah. What do you do? So it's taking responsibility over your situation, and then you will start finding a way how to move from point A to point B to point C to point D, and to start actually thriving through life rather than surviving, right? Now, many people, when they externalize, they want to be the victims. Oh, this has happened to me. But you have been having 300 guests on your podcast with successful people, and one of them is, let's say, like Dr. Joe Vitale that you showed me. Victimism does not get you anywhere. Yeah. Taking responsibility will take you where you want to be.
Yeah, I love that. Can you just share? I'm curious what your thoughts are going deep into self-development. How much similarities do you find in the world of karate and self-development?
It's the same. It's all the same. Self-development is what? First, building a discipline, right? Why do you need to build a discipline? Because discipline always goes before motivation. You don't need to be motivated to do something. You need to be disciplined, because no one is 24/7 motivated in their life. Even the strongest athletes, they're not there, but the discipline is what is moving them forward. So that discipline to read that book, to work on yourself, to get better in something, is something that has to be done. It's the same in karate. You need to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, minus 20 degrees Celsius. You're freezing with 3 layers and run for 40 kilometers. You need to go through that. It's a discipline. You don't want to. It's painful. It's hurtful. You want to sleep. It's your nose and your lungs are getting frozen from that, but you need to go through that discipline. So first, it's the same. Yeah. Second thing, emotional, take a charge over your emotions as well. If it's a fear, what is the difference between successful people and non-successful people? They both have fears. It's a normal thing. They're human beings. But the successful people learn how to use that fears to be the wind in their back. And the mediocres are the one that learn how to put the fears like a wall in front of them so they cannot move forward. Yeah. Which means learn also take responsibility over own emotions. That way you will take responsibility over all your own behaviors, and then you own your results. So self-development and the basic of karate is the same. Yeah, it's absolutely the same. You need to work on something. You need to work jakutsuki for 1,000 times every single day until you perfect it. And you need to do it for 20 years, right? So it's the same. If you have a problem with phobias, if you have with fears, if you have with problem with anger, if you with sadness or something emotional in your own self-development, you will need to work on that for a hard time, because that was something that have been learned. It's the same in if you want to get better in another language, to learn a different skill. You want to start making more money in a different hustle that you want to get. You want to get out of the corporate world. You want to become an entrepreneur. You need to have the discipline, and we need to put the work in and to go through that uncomfortable position. Because how do they say? Comfortability is a very nice place, but nothing ever grows there. So put yourself uncomfortable, you will learn. Definitely you will learn.
Thank you for sharing that. And let's talk about COVID. So COVID happens, you're managing all these nightclubs and restaurants, and like, how did that shift your life into going into, remote sales and becoming a sales coach? And like, what was that experience for you?
Well, I will go back on the same thing, putting myself in the cause, taking responsibility, because when COVID happens, there was no hospitality, there was no nightlife, there was no restaurants, everything goes in lockdown. The company started laying off people around, sending them on unpaid vacations. And in my mind, it was like, okay, this is not my fault, but it's definitely my problem that I need to solve. Yeah. What am I going to do now to make a living? Without spending all my savings. So what
and
I
how
did,
long did it take for you to go from here's a problem, now I gotta solve it?
Not even 3 days. Not but straight away. When it happens, it was straight away, the same day. In my mind, it was like, what can I do next? What's the next job? What can I do now? Not to, hey, COVID, let me wait if something happens. Because I know we didn't know when COVID is going to happen, or stop or something else. It was uncertainty so much. So for my moment, it was like, I need to do something about this. So what happened? I got straight away, start calling people and searching for opinions and searching for ways how to do it. And I had a friend of mine that had a fitness company, online fitness company. He was like, mate, you can sell over a phone for me. I will give you a commission. Yeah. Okay, let me do it. Right? That's how I started in online sales. And after a week, the first thing that I did is I borrowed money and I paid for my own education, for my own mentorship, to become better in that. I didn't have the money. The investment was like around $30,000 or something like that. Wow. To hire someone to teach me to do this well. Yeah. And that's how everything started.
Wow. And how did you get better? And like, what were the biggest hurdles in this industry for you?
I wouldn't say hurdles. I would say I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it because I want a communication with people. Yeah. I like to understand people better. That's why I'm in Dubai. I always been curious in other people's behaviors, human behavior. Why do they take certain decisions in a certain way? Like I always, and it was for me a learning curve, a lot of fun. Now I did it to do the same work I was putting in the sports, I was putting in my career. I needed to do the same work. Yeah, you hire a coach, but you need to train every day. You need to become better every day. You need to start understanding absolutely everything every day. But it was for me, it was already done scenario that I've been through so many times that it was for me just translated from one industry to another industry, and how to become better, and just follow your discipline. And it's still a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Many people that are in sales, they do not enjoy it.
Yeah.
They do not enjoy it just because they think it's a numbers game, because they think they need to work harder, and it's actually a skill game.
Yeah.
You just need to become better at sales.
Yeah.
And then the game becomes easy. It becomes joyful. You're helping other people experiencing change in their life. You're not a salesperson, you're changing someone's life, right? So it becomes something to be grateful for.
Yeah. I love that. And I have a mantra, the more you help others, the happier you are. And I truly believe that. And if you can help somebody go from A to B, it's an extraordinary experience that gives you so much joy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
One thing that I'm curious about, like you're talking about, like you're reinventing yourself all the time. Like most people have to do that a couple of times in their lifetime. But it sounds like for you, it's very similar to one of the things that I've learned from Bushido, which is, for people who don't know what Bushido is, the way of the warrior. And one thing for Bushido is, when something is said, it's like it's already done. And it's the same in my mind. When I have said something, it's done. I've already know I'm gonna pass through and make it happen. And I'm trying to find a way to give this knowledge to people who are not martial artists, but I'm struggling because people sometimes don't understand that, because there's so many pitfalls of changing your mind or stopping when it's not as exciting. And we all know, you start a business and on day 3, when people tell you to fuck off or like no, and then you're not motivated anymore, it comes back to the discipline and the commitment you made. So I'm curious, like, what can you share and help those people that are kind of struggling in their new reinvention right now?
Oh, find a person that have already done what you want to do.
Yeah.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Find the person that you have already done, and just follow whatever they do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
There is no way for you not to get in that position.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You just need to see and to follow already proven process that someone has already done it. Because if I want to become a successful karateka, I'm not going to ask them, let's say we're talking about someone that is top.
Yeah.
You're not going to ask, okay, what do you train on training? But I would ask them, like, show me what you do every single moment of the day. When do you wake up? What do you eat? What do you think? How do you feel? Who do you hang out with? Like, what is your thought process there? Follow some person that have been there, and follow. There is no way not to progress in that area. There is absolutely no way, and just go for it, because it's already proven. It have been proven for so many people, and those people that maybe you idolize, they have been through the same hardships like absolutely everyone else. So you will need to go through it. Get ready, life. Get ready, life, to smack you 3-4 times at least until you start seeing light in the end of the tunnel. Get ready.
Yeah, progress is messy in the beginning.
But I think that progress is always messy. And if everything goes so well, something is wrong. If everything is so smooth, something is wrong. Something will going to come. Because if we don't grow, we die, right? So to continue growing, we need to continue challenging ourselves and start growing in different areas. Is it going to be business, career, love, health, fitness, spirituality? We will need to be growing continuously, so we can, otherwise there is no plateau. Or you go up or you go down. The tree, or it's going to grow up or it's going to die. There is no going to stay half tree. Have you ever seen Half Tree? I haven't.
No, that's true. Uh, let's talk about failure. So, can you share a moment in your life where you you failed and how you got yourself out of that, and like what your mind, like how did you deal with that in your mind?
Oh, yeah. Failure is part of success. Uh, how Michael Jordan said, "I fell so many times. That's why I succeed."
Yeah.
So I have experienced failures in many areas in life. I have um, I have experienced failure in my own health. Even though I'm so disciplined, I train every day, I eat so healthy, I have experienced failure in health. In health, for example, I was 32 years old and I had a stroke, which is not really normal, right? And still, that mindset taught me, like, okay, what is the root cause of this? So I needed to go to find what is it going on exactly and to change my lifestyle even more. What was the root cause? It was I was putting too much stress on top of me. Okay, let's deal with the stress right now in the moment. How can I reduce the stress out of my life? How can I learn, enjoy being with myself a little bit more? And that actually gave me a knowledge about my self-awareness even more, even more, even more, and to have a happier life, even in the most stressful moments. That's probably one of the biggest failures when you fail in health,
Yeah.
that you shouldn't, being super healthy, athletic person, and you fail in health.
Yeah.
That's painful and that's hard, because then all the fears come, because you don't know, are you going to walk normally anymore? Are you going to talk normally anymore? Like how much recovery time you will need to go through it, if you recover properly or something else. It's so much of uncertainty there. But how you say it, the code of Bushido,
Yeah.
you put it in your mind, you want to get out of there and you want to do it. And
Yeah.
that's it.
I love that. I have one final question. I've had a great time. I want to
Same here.
continue this. So for people that are listening and watching, they're pumped up, they're ready to go. And, like with a lot of things, people go on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, podcasts. There's so much content. People listen, they think, oh, this was a great conversation. And then they go about doing the same fucking shit they did yesterday. Pardon my language. But
Yeah.
what would be the next step to kind of get that change? Okay, we're in a moment here. Now I can actually make a difference. What would be the first step that they should do?
First, forget about New Year, New Me resolution.
Yeah.
It's now that you need to take an action. Second, the best diet doesn't start on Monday. It starts now. If you want to do this type of thing. What I would say people need to focus on is, first, be clear within yourself what are the outcomes that you want to get. Is it going to be sport? Is it going to be health? Is it going to be career? Is it going to be money? Is it going to be love? What are the outcomes that you want to get? And write them into details. Become very clear. Second part, which is the most powerful part, it is, what is the purpose of it? Which is, what's the why? Why do you want that particular outcome? How is going to help you in your life? How is going to help to your closest people in their life? How would you experience life if you actually get that outcomes? And what is going to happen if you don't get there? Get clear with the purpose behind. And then when you already know what you want exactly, and then when you know exactly why do you want it, you have already built momentum, emotion, energy in motion, and then you take action straight away. Not tomorrow, not let me sleep, not next week, not okay, let me just take a nap. No, now, at this moment. You want to buy a car? You want to buy a Bentley? Okay, make a reason why do you want that type of, and it makes sense. The first thing you do, go in the showroom and test drive it. Go and do it. right? You want to buy a house, go start seeing open houses, and you want to do something. You want to start a business. Okay, find a reason, what type of business, what is the outcome, what is the purpose behind, and then send an email to someone. Take an action straight away, no matter how small it is. Take an action towards it. Only then we're going to build the momentum from that moment to the next moment, to the next moment, and you start seeing the progress little by little. You can overcome the hardships, you don't procrastinate, and you continue moving forward.
There you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the I Love Success podcast. I'm so grateful, Bogdan, that we got to have this time again, and I hope I can come and visit you soon. If people want to work with you, they want to learn more about what you do, what's the best place for them to connect?
Facebook. They can connect with me on Facebook. They can connect with me on Instagram. It's Facebook is Bogdan Micov. They can find it there. They can start following some of my content that I'm posting outside there. They can connect, and yeah, we can have fun. No problems.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And if you enjoy this show, my mission is to help at least 10 million people in 10 years to go after their dreams. So please subscribe, share this with somebody that needs to hear it, write us a review, help us build this movement together. And as we said, take action. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next week.